PLD Projects presents Holy Snokes, a Star Wars podcast featuring PLD and Matty Gunner. May the Force be with you, always. What's up, everybody? We're back. Holy Snokes. Yes, we are back. We are Holy Snokes. I am PLD. This, of course, is Matty Gunner. It has been a while. We kind of announced a shift of our schedule, and then our schedule blew us all to hell anyway. So
our schedule got shifted. We announced the shift in the schedule, then our schedules got shifted.
We shifted our schedule, and our schedule shifted us, as it would be. Hopefully, we'll be more...
or rather, that our schedule shafted us.
That's the better way to put it, probably, actually. Hopefully, we will continue. We'll get back on track, and we will get back to a more our bi-weekly schedule, which is our new thing going forward. We're going to have an episode on something like thematic thing or things like that, where me and Matty, or maybe Matty solo, might do an effort. He did a great episode on Kurosawa, which is on the channel. Go check that out. The Kurosawa Effect on Star Wars. I wanted to do it kind of, but I thought that that'd be a waste of space considering I hadn't watched a lot of those movies for years. I just wanted to let Matty get his own thing. And because as Ken Knapsack texted me, thank you for letting Matty do his wonderful book report on the subject, which is pretty much what it was. It was great. It was wonderfully historically. It's a great look into it. So we'll have things like this. And today's episode is likewise going to be like a thematic episode. You've seen the thumbnail, you've seen the title. We are talking about the High Republic, and now it has ended. We'll get to that momentarily. Moving forward, our next episode will be in like 2 weeks. That'll be my news update, which I haven't done a news update in forever. So that's what we're talking about. I'll be talking about all the stuff that's hit the news, the Matt Smith news, the Simon Kinberg talking about Andor news, the casting stuff, everything going on with that. The trailer for the Build the Lego Build, I forget the name.
Build a Galaxy.
That's it. Build a Galaxy movie coming out in September. That's going to be a lot of fun to talk about as well. So that'll be my news episode in 2 weeks, and then we will return after that. So basically, it's going to be an every other show kind of thing. News, theme, news, theme, news, theme. We have some good themes coming up as well. I know you still technically have to do what are the Tony Gilroy. I feel like we're almost out of time.
We got it. I don't think we are. We got, the Emmy season is coming up. Tony's been making the rounds in LA. Unfortunately, I wasn't here when he did the pop-up. Shout out to our friend Brandon Hanna, who got to meet Tony Gilroy at the surprise pop-up that they did. I did manage, thanks to Star Wars Mo, shout out to Star Wars Mo, I managed to get my hands on one of the Andor zines.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Which is I haven't read it yet. It's currently sitting in my suitcase because I'm currently living out of a suitcase. But yeah, from what I breezed through on the drive back, don't read while you're driving, kids. It looks pretty cool. So hopefully you guys on the East Coast will be getting something similar out there soon. But
that would be great. That would be wonderful indeed. Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Michael Clayton's what we're talking about. We're going to cover Michael Clayton as like a looking to Tony Gilroy, and we'd connect it to Star Wars as we can, kind of like what we do with Kurosawa, for example. Also, some other ones I just thought off the top of my head. I kind of want to do like a top 20 video for us. We haven't done one of those in a little bit, like maybe a top 20 TV episodes from Star Wars kind of thing. Maybe top 10. I'll throw it in there. Like, it doesn't have to be definitive, but like maybe
I think top 10 because there's so many episodes of TV.
Exactly. I think that's why I initially said 20, though. There's so many episodes I want to highlight, but I'll cut
it. Hey, I can give you mine right now. Season 2 of Andor.
That's all
my top 10. My top 10. Yeah.
That's fair. Absolutely fair. We're still kind of buzzing on that high for sure. We are at a little bit of a lull now momentarily. We do have like I said, the Build a Galaxy coming up. We do have Vision Season 2 coming up, which we will definitely cover. I'm not sure how we'll cover it. If we'll do it all in one episode, or if we'll kind of maybe do little mini episodes on each episode, perhaps. Maybe try something new with that. We'll see what that goes. And of course, I know you're looking forward to Maul Shadow Lord. I mean, we're both looking forward to it, but I know
Maul Shadow Legends, yeah.
Legends coming out in early next year, I think. We don't have an official date. It's 2026, but my belief is that it's early. I think it's gonna be before Mando and Grogu. That's what I'm kind of thinking of. That's right. Then the movie Mando and Grogu coming out in next year. Definitely can't wait to cover that as well. All that stuff going on. All that said, if you like us here, if this is your first time here, welcome. We do have a lot of stuff to look back on and to look forward to. You like and subscribe. You can join our Patreon at patreon.com/PLD Projects. We don't really do I'll be honest with you, don't do a whole lot on the Patreon regarding to Holy Snokes yet, because we usually record these episodes and then I put them live right away, so I don't have really episodes to give. But maybe we'll do something special for the Patreon someday, since we have a bi-weekly schedule. Maybe we'll get together and do a Patreon exclusive episode about something. We'll pitch. I'm pitching that right on air as we're talking. Matt's like, "What are you talking about?"
We're doing a lot of pitching on air today.
We are. Well, you know, it's funny because we haven't been able to talk recently. It's been like we've been having like these take and go messages. I've been doing a lot of real life stuff. I know I didn't even realize you were in California until I saw some of your social media. I'm like, oh, what's he doing on?
Yeah. I went to visit my best friend had his firstborn son, so I went to visit them in Sacramento. I'm officially a California guy now that I have taken a jet ski out onto a river.
Better you than me. I'll be honest with you. I would fly off that thing and probably break.
As someone who has ridden motorbikes for most of his life, that was a completely different experience. I got on it thinking, oh, this is just going to be like riding a motorbike. It wasn't. It shot me like upward, like that.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, okay. But then I just pretended that I was riding a speeder bike through the forest of Endor, and everything was
okay.
Good. Yeah.
Definitely no red trees in the ocean, no big red firs or whatever.
We nearly hit a couple. We nearly hit a couple on the riverbank.
That's impressive. Yeah, so we haven't been able to talk too much. I actually had to postpone class action for a little bit. I need to cut ties or something for a little bit. We'll be back at some point, I'm sure. Just a lot going on, so we have to make do in some things here and there. We did return this week with 2 middle-aged geeks on film, myself and PJ. Check that out. We covered Ghostbusters 2. And we're continuing now our MCU watch through as well. But enough about that. Let's get into today's subject. We don't do news here on this. Like I'm still getting used to the new formula. So like part of me is like, let's get to the news, but we don't do the news anymore.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Shut up.
I'm shutting up about the news. We'll do that next time. We are talking about the High Republic. We are slightly late in covering this. We initially pitched it to cover at the end of Trials of the Jedi, which came out in July, mid-July. Then we were like, well, we can wait till the end at least, because we have the High Republic finale from Marvel which is going to come out, and that's going to really signify that. But now it's been out for a little bit. But in a way, it's kind of good, because I know you were having a hard time finishing it up. You said it was getting a little quick for you at the end.
Yeah.
And now I can let it sit with me for a bit too. I let it sit with me. I can have maybe more to say without the recency bias coming in. So,
I mean, jumping into our overall thoughts real quick, I thought this was way too long.
Interesting. Okay.
I enjoyed what I did read, but I fell off a lot of the YA books, a lot of the comics. I maintained like with the main Marvel run. But a lot of it, like the offshoots and stuff, I probably could have done without. I think the next one, I mean, it was good. What I read was good. It wasn't like there was like a dip in the level of writing. It was just a lot, man. It was a lot, and trying to like keep up with everything I got about midway through phase 2 before I was like, okay, I need to just concentrate on the main story threads and like not go off in a million different directions. So there's going to be stuff that PLD is probably going to bring up that I've not heard yet. I'm completely fine with that. I think I understand they had 4 years to fill with this initiative. I'm well aware that they had 4 years to fill. Maybe next time let's cut it down to about 2.
I did read every single piece of comic books.
You're a madman.
I'm actually going back.
Where do you find the time?
Well, those things I work. Everybody knows I work as a dispatcher in 911. Some days I have that are extremely busy.
You're the man of 1,000 podcasts. You're the man of 1,000 producing podcasts. Having to deal with Matt Sarah every week, I imagine can't be, it's a bit of a challenge, I can imagine.
Matt is a sweetheart. I gotta tell you, Matt is an absolute sweetheart. Yes. He's actually my least problematic child.
Wow.
Very little I have to do. I have to kind of do things, boom, good. All right, we're good. But no, in all honesty, like I find time by just doing it whenever I'm like free. I usually have my Kindle with me. I'm just kind of like, okay, well, I'm catching an issue here. I'm reading. I'm at a doctor's office. I can get an issue here. I get a chapter in here. I just make it work. I'm actually rereading it now because I went back and I'm doing an organizational thing for myself. I'm rereading the High Republic now. I'm back in phase 2 timeline. I'm doing chronologically speaking as you go. I'm actually doing 2 separate read throughs in the canon area. I'm going back to reread the High Republic, so I have to categorize some things for myself. I also, as people know, I've been reading the entire like canon. That's my goal. I hit the Acolyte, by the way. I mean, I just finished watching the Acolyte, and I don't think we're ready for the discussion about that. That show is actually a lot better, especially without all the, shall we say, discourse around it going on. Watching it without any of that discourse was just really nice. It was really nice to see. I liked a lot of it.
Yeah.
And I hope we get more in some way, shape, or form. Obviously, we're not going to get season 2, but I hope we're going to get some kind of continuation of those characters.
I also rewatched The Acolyte because I don't know if you saw, I took part in the Epic Confrontations Hyperspace Trivia Gauntlet.
Oh, I did not see this.
Yeah. So they shout out to Eli and the crew over at Epic Confrontations, Star Wars in a Galaxy. They invited me on. I immediately thought I was going to get blown out the water in one round. Lasted a lot longer than I thought.
Oh, nice.
It's been a while since I've done any trivia, so I lasted a little bit, and there were some questions that came up about the Acolyte, and I was like, I know this.
Right.
This is like deep in the back of my brain. I know this.
Right.
So getting that right, I was like, it reinformed how. Yeah. Dude, it was live. It was like their version of the Royal Rumble. Gotcha. One person comes out, and then the next person, kind of like the Schmodown free for all. Almost.
Gotcha. I was actually invited to be a part of that, but I could not, unfortunately, my time schedule make it work.
It's because you knew I was going to be in it, and you were shook.
Yeah, that's what it was. Actually, I know I obviously see how what I did, what my schedule did to this channel, let alone anything else. And I had already being booked on Settle the Score at one point. Like I couldn't do anything more at that point, which I got my ass kicked until the score because I realized that
I heard about this at dinner last night.
Oh, did you? From who?
From your opponent. From your opponent.
I did. I'm finding as I get older, like I surely should retire now because like my trivia brain's still there. I just don't have the speed I used to have. It's that kind of thing. Like I knew every question that Dan got right. He got it faster. God damn it. He got it faster than I did. That's it. I had that recall problem. Like, I would get there. So any speed question I can't do. It's like just a write down question. I can still probably throw. I could still be the bullpen. I can still provide some innings of relief here and there.
I'll tell you the question that did me in, and it's one that you'll be surprised at.
Okay.
And then we'll get back onto the topic at hand. It was a question of which Sith Lord inhabits Darth Vader's castle in the comics. And obviously it's Moment.
Oh, yeah, Moment.
Who is my guy, who's my favorite Sith. Yeah. And I was just thinking, I was like, who the fuck is in his castle? Because I was like thinking of the assistant.
Right.
And I was just like, and I was like, nah, it can't be him. But then the time ran out and I was like, shit.
Darth Moment. Oh wow, you are mad, you are mad.
I was pissed. All right,
that's fair enough.
But the point I'm bringing that up to say is like it reinforced in my brain how good of a show The Acolyte is.
Absolutely, I would say like I watched it again and I said, you know what, I understand why some people didn't like some of it. And there's definitely some wonky motivations at times. There's definitely some I still don't understand what Basil was doing towards the end a little bit. Honestly, Basil got a little weird.
Basil. So what he needs to do is just he's the comic relief.
Like just like when he sabotages the ship. Like I couldn't understand what necessarily. But either way, like I had some issues with overall. But like my God, it was a lot. I want to see these characters. I want to see the Stranger do his thing with Osha at this point. See what's going on there. I want to see Vernestra leading the team to go hunt. There's a lot of good stuff with the politics there. Rancor, loved. I got those last stuff, good stuff. But that's all right. I digress. We'll see what happens there. But I've been just to go back to my saying. I've been reading through it all again. I did read through everything, and I don't disagree with your initial insight. I want to say I'll get right into the overall idea that. I want to applaud the ambition behind this project. Absolutely.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, this is definitely the most ambitious project we've seen in the Disney era, I think, overall. And I think it's probably more ambitious than any of the other multimedia stuff the Legends tried to do. I mean, this harkens back, obviously, to, like, the New Jedi Order and to, like, maybe the Shadows of the Empire stuff and everything else. But this New Jedi Order did a very definitive, like there's, like, 5 or 6, like, hardcover adult novels, and then they threw in a couple of paperbacks in between the kind of like the expansion, the enhancement stuff that you can kind of skip if you wanted to, but still had some good stories. In fact, Traitor was one of the ones from the Jedi Order, and it's still one of my favorite books, and that's one of the side books, so to speak. And I wonder almost if like the Hard Republic was a little too ambitious in a way. I like the idea. We still had kind of like the adult novels. We had the young adult novels, and we had like the young like, junior novels, and then we had like the comic book runs, everything else. And it's like that's awesome because we're filling in a lot of space, a lot of time, and it does let you really. You can, if you're not a madman like me, you could pick and choose what you want to watch. Like for example, I didn't love a lot of like the High Republic Adventures, Dark Horse ones, which definitely were aimed a little more. I think they were definitely aimed a little on the younger side of things, and it was all about this like love story. I kind of was like, okay, it's just like it's fine. It's not really telling me much of the story that I want to know. But I will say overall also that I would love to see them try again, but you could definitely fine tune it a little bit. I think part of the problem I have with the overall is that, like I mentioned, the New Jedi Order, it was like definitively had the big story in one spot, and then there's some enhancements. And this one, there was no definitive big story in spots. They kind of did a little bit in phase 1. But then phase 2, I felt like the young adult stuff was like far more important than like Convergence and Cataclysm, for example. Those were the adult books, and those almost seemed like nothing burgers comparatively. Especially Convergence. Convergence seemed like just such like a round. Like I went back, like, why? What are we doing with this? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's an interesting story. The Aerono Forever War. That's a cool story to tell. But I just like if you're gonna have an adult novel in that time, like it should be like there should be a point A to point C storyline going on, and like B, it's like you fill in the gaps or fill in like the enhancement stuff. It's like some of the younger books or the comic books and everything else. So it kind of like went all over the places to what was important. I almost feel like they tried at some point to have like different stories. Like for example, like the High Republic comics had their own run, which is great. I think that's what they should have done with everything. They should have had like a through line in each one that was the story they were telling.
Yeah.
But it didn't quite go that way. And I will say, I mentioned this before. We'll get into it as we go into more things. I do think like the momentum was killed after phase 1 when we went back to phase 2. Because like you kind of had this like big moment, Fallen Star at the end of the Fallen Star. I was like, yes, that was a great. I love one of my favorite books of the Initiative, by the way, the Fallen Star. I love a great disaster story and with the Jedi involved. I think a lot of my favorite characters. Loved it. And then like it's like, all right, now we're gonna stop and go back and tell this other story before you go on to see what's happening in phase 3. It's like, no, I wanna go through. And like you said, like that's years. Like we didn't get back to phase 3 for like a year or two. And it's like, okay. And then phase 3 kind of picked up again, but like it never quite regained the momentum it had, I think.
I think we talked about it. It's the reason why I hate the machete order of watching the films, of like the watching everything and then going back. To me, like that takes the, like you said, the momentum away. I think if they'd have started with phase 2, then gone into phase 1, and then phase 3 after that, to me, it's just you have the prelude there, setting everything up. Why not lead with that?
Agreed. I agree on that. I think also, like, maybe I think they were trying to be too cute. They were like, well, Star Wars has 3 trilogies. It has like the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. They tried to kind of do that. But the problem with that is that when that was done, George did that originally, which let's cut out the sequel trilogy entirely. It was the original trilogy which finished the story. It was the climax of the story at that point. We can say all we want about George having a 789 and he wrote a 789. He did, but like it was kind of one of those things where if we had never got another episode, like if we never got episode 789, episode 6 was a definitive finale. So it was like doing 4, 5, 6 finale, and then we went back. I kind of feel like if we had gotten like phase 1 and then phase 3, and then we decided, okay, let's see how some of this stuff began with like the Leveler and Martyr Road, so like that. That makes for an interesting story because it doesn't kill the momentum. It's not killed. Like it's already done. We got, now we're just getting like a cool prelude that we kind of see, we can see where this is going to go eventually kind of thing. I think that makes that much weirder. They instead we're trying to be too cutesy with it, I think. And that kind of killed it a little bit as well. That's not saying that phase 2 is bad. It's not a bad phase.
No, we got to stop like saying like we know that it's not bad, because like we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it if we didn't enjoy it.
Right.
If that
Right.
makes sense. Like
Absolutely.
it was enjoyable. Did it have ebbs and flows? Yes, but that doesn't mean anything was bad. It means that or anything was good.
Right.
But I just want people to know, like, if we didn't enjoy this, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it.
100%.
Young Jedi Adventures, right? I'm sure it's great. PLD's watched it. I've watched a few episodes of it. There's a reason we haven't talked about it. It's because it's just not for me.
Right.
Like
100%.
PLD might do a thematic episode on this show all about the Young Jedi Adventures when he gets the chance to, because he's seen it, he's enjoyed it. I watched a bit of it and I did quite enjoy it. I was like, yeah, this isn't for me, so we didn't talk about it. So I actually agree with you that I think it lulled a little bit with Fates to kind of took me out of the impact that the Fall of Starlight Beacon had.
Right.
Because then it was like we're going back another 100 odd years, 150 odd years.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though, the comic The Blade was fucking awesome.
Oh, yes. I
Dude.
can't wait for that. They're doing a sequel to that, or another Blade series that was like canceled, but now it's back on the market, I guess, according to the author. Which is, I guess, gonna be part of that whole Michael C. Glade called it. Well, we're gonna continue. It's gonna be phase more, not phase 4, but it'll be phase more. Which I like the idea, because I think it's basically him just saying, well, we're gonna do more stories in this era with these characters. It's just not gonna be part of like this overall arc. And having the Blade comics actually really is a perfect way to do that. Blade, one of my favorite characters. Blade Barda is one of
Porter
my
Engle,
favorite characters. Porter Engle.
He reminds me a lot of I don't know if you saw this cartoon back in the early 90s of this cartoon Gargoyles. The character Hudson, who's like the old like hunchback dude with the one eye, and he's got the one armor plate on his shoulder.
Yes.
I see the character design, which, by the way, the character design and the overall aesthetic of the High Republic is probably my favorite thing about it.
Oh yeah, I love.
But looking at the character of Porter Engle, I'm like, oh, that's Hudson from Gargoyles. So I immediately got like a warm feeling towards the guy. But then you see he's awesome with the lightsaber. He can cook. He can play sabacc. It's just like, this guy's just cool.
He's the guy you want to have a beer with, for sure. Absolutely. Or have him cook you a meal and then you have a beer with him, kind of thing. Absolutely. I love actually his progression. Like because he got introduced right away and like Light of the Jedi, and you're kind of like, okay, who's this guy? And he didn't quite have the chutzpah right away. You're kind of like, who is this guy? And then like they show you the stuff like the Blade. It's like, oh, that's who this guy is. Oh, whoa, this guy's.
They introduced us to him out of his prime, and then they showed us him in his prime, and I was like, where is this guy?
And then he comes back and he's like, you John Wick. You dig up the coin, he's back. You say, I'm back.
Yep.
I'm back. And he does, but I also will say, like, I don't want to call this a detriment. I don't know what to call this necessarily. I found it a little strange that we had this side character have basically his own kind of side story throughout the entire, like, there's like the High Republic initiative, and then there's like the Blades story, which runs through the entire of the initiative. And like part of like the big climax stuff, he's like in there doing his own storyline thing with Vice. And it's like, it's kind of like weird. I didn't mind it. I like the character so much. I'm glad we got it. But it did feel kind of like a strange. It's like we're having a John Wick subplot during Taken or something. Kind of like we're like, what's going on here? Okay.
I want to see that now, especially with Naked Gun being as good as it is. Liam Neeson just going straight back to doing like brutal action.
God, I will say a sidebar. I don't want to get into it too much, but man, it's hard to recapture the vibe of like an 80s comedy sometimes like that. But this one perfectly recaptured it. And
jokes every 5 minutes. I'm just like,
throwing a lot of shit up against the wall. Not everything landed, but like but everything was funny enough. Like, and there's something that would laugh out loud. And
you at least got a giggle out of it.
Absolutely. Good stuff. So I will say initially, I think phase 1 was my favorite. I think phase 3 was my second favorite, and phase 2 was my third favorite. Phase 3 was a little damaged, I said, for me for phase 2, but also had its own issues. I do want to point out a couple things that I've noticed throughout the thing. My problem with phase 3, even though I will say I loved Trials of the Jedi, I thought that was a good way to finish. We had this like kind of like epic Avengers style portal almost one where we had like some of the greatest characters. They had some great look at Alex's Stars Explained had an interview with the author there, and he talked about how he picked the final 9 characters that were going to go to the planet to take on Mark Hero, and it made sense. A lot like we're going to pick these characters that were like had their own bits and pieces, like, and they were all like throughout. They took like pieces of different storylines to get them all to come together. Good moment there. I was just happy that Ty York
the more fleshed out ones, I think, like guys like
Absolutely.
Porter Engel that have had that character build up throughout the whole thing, to where like we care about these guys.
Right.
Like if you take Reef Silas,
Right.
for example.
Mhm.
I really liked his story arc because when he first came into it, I was like, oh, this is just the snotty little nerd who never like
Right.
who never left his hometown, never left Coruscant. He's just this little bookworm sheltered dork.
Right.
And then he becomes this badass. Like he's fighting the Nile and he's talking shit while he's fighting alongside Ram.
Right.
And I'm just like, this kid rules, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I was glad for Ty York because Ty York was low key might be my favorite character from the initiative at this point. Like maybe it's her or Porter or maybe Leox Gyasi was. I love as a side character. I love Leox.
You mean Matthew McConaughey in space?
Yes, give me Matthew McConaughey in space. Give me that like as an animated series, like the adventures.
Well,
of that.
I'm pretty sure Justine Island said that it might have been, it was either Justine or Tessa, I can't remember who wrote Leox, said that he was created as Matthew McConaughey, like Matthew McConaughey in Dazed and Confused.
I think it actually might have been Claudia Gray who actually had her in like the first.
Was it Claudia?
I think it was Claudia because he was in the first one they did like Into the Dark.
Yes, you're right. It was Claudia.
They fleshed him out a bunch of times throughout, but yeah, no, I loved Matthew McConaughey in space. He was just a lot of fun. I want to see like give me Matthew McConaughey playing him like in an animated or live action like show or something. Just kind of hire a public show, have him have adventures or whatever. That'd be great. I would love that.
I tell you what, I'm going to Matthew McConaughey's live Q&A in London next month. That's going to be my question. I'll be like, excuse me, Mr. McConaughey, are you playing live action Leox Gyasi in Star Wars? Yes.
I will tell you what, I will buy you a bottle of whiskey if his answer is anything more than who?
yeah. But he'll give some kind of answer about how like the universe will put that role into my lap when I'm ready for it.
That's right. Yeah.
When the green lights say go for me to be in a Star Wars movie.
I love that. I love that. But going back, Ty, I really love Ty York, and she was kind of interesting to me because she wasn't a part of a lot of the big, like the major stories. She was one of those like kind of Porter characters who kind of just had her own side. So she had a couple of miniseries that she was involved in. She was involved a little bit in the World's Fair event or whatever in Gallo. She was a part of that book and everything else. But generally speaking, she had her own thing. But she got a nice little highlight there at the end. But bringing it back to what I was saying, I think the Trial of the Jedi ended it very well. But like there were just some things introduced. I'm kind of like, I don't know why you did this, except the fact that you had such a sprawling narrative and you had so many stories to tell. The two things I point out that I felt like a little bit forced for me was like the introduction of the Blight in general. Just seemed like it almost seemed like, how do you put it? Like it's like when comic book fans complain about having too many villains in a story.
Yeah,
that's the felt. It's like we already had the Nameless and Martian Row and the Nihil and everything else. Now it's going well. They had the Stormwall and everything else. And all of a sudden, we're now like kind of like last minute introducing. And there's the Blight, and like it's kind of related, but not. And we're have this going on. And it's kind of like, okay. We had the Drengir as well. It's like
I felt like the Drengir. You'll get this. I felt like the Drengir would have suited better as a Doctor Who villain than a Star Wars villain.
100%, absolutely. I agree. The Drengir were fine for the comics. I understand why they're there. It kind of made for a good comic story and everything else. But again, it did seem kind of like, well, we're gonna push this around and. They were like initially, it felt like it was like the Nihil were used in the Drengir, and that was kind of a cool aspect. But then it kind of like went its own way, and they just like made for different storylines. The other thing I'm curious if you agree with this or not. I feel like the way they handled Phase 3 is they really sidelined Markian Row. Like he basically like the Starlight Beacon falls, they raise the Stormlight, and what does he do? Throughout the rest of the series, but until Trials of the Jedi, he goes off on his own, kind of acts like this whole thing sucks. I need to do something more, but I don't know. It's always like retrospect. Like he was like your Darth Vader villain. He was like your Palpatine. He was like your guy. He could have been out leading the crew. Instead, he has almost no interaction with anybody except for Gira. I like he's doing his own thing. He's experimenting on things. I love his motivation. His motivation basically being, I want to be somebody, and that somebody is I don't even want to be remembered. I want to be the guy who just destroyed the universe because that's the most important person that could possibly be in the universe.
That is exactly you saying that is exactly why I disagree.
Okay. But it felt like I just got tired of it. I just kind of got like I was like, I want to see more of him doing something. Like the ending. Trials of the Jedi came back on the thing. I loved his ending. I loved how he
hate it.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I hated how he went out.
Okay, interesting. I loved his
I'll get you finish your point, but like when you said that, I was like, shit, I really was hoping that you and I were going to be on the same page with it.
I like that. Well, first of all, his imprisonment at the end was the best way to punish him.
Oh, the Magneto at the end of X-Men 1 ending. Yeah, okay.
Perfect way to punish him. I like that. I like that he came back into play because he needed to be the finale. He needed to be the battle had to be against him because nothing else would. Because if they didn't defeat him, then what did they do? They could stop the Nameless. Sure, they could have taken out the Nihil, but he was still kind of out there. It would have been kind of like the Joker got away, and like, what are you going to do with it? So I like the fact that he came back and had a battle against him at the end. I just didn't like how he didn't. I wish he had been more orchestrating of other stuff throughout the entirety of Phase 3. Like, it wasn't just. I love Eye of Darkness. I thought it was a good like starting point for it. Then kind of like everything else after, I'm like, okay, so now it's almost like Gira Staros is our focused on villain at this point. But I'm interested to hear what you have to say about it.
I liked it because it kept you wondering, what is he doing? Like, what is he getting up to while like everything is happening over here? What is he playing at? What is his big plan over here? It's kind of like a bit of sleight of hand for me. And one thing that I really loved is like he is to me the Joker from Dark Knight. He doesn't care about the Jedi, the Republic, even the Nihil. You gotta remember, like the Nihil was his father's, and his father treated him like absolute shit. His father tortured him, all these horrible things to the point where Marchion ended up killing him. So I fully understand why he would just throw everything to do with the Nihil out the window, because he took that over as a means to an end. But I really feel like it meant nothing to him other than a means to an end. Get control of the Nameless, punish the Jedi, and then at the end of it, when it all starts falling apart, he's just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go full supernova, and I'm just gonna burn everything down. And I was just like, yes, that's the kind of villain that we need in Star Wars, not the like someone who comes back and he's just like, yeah, my bad. I did some terrible things. Let me redeem. Just give me this evil son of a bitch that just wants to burn the whole galaxy down. And then the Jedi need to come in and stop him. Like, I love that it was Bell that beat him.
I do too.
And there's a very fine line between vengeance and justice. But I think if you're gonna do the Rise of Skywalker ending where he becomes all the Jedi, put that guy down. He is a danger to everyone. You think he's not gonna, get out of that box that they put him in? At some point, he's gonna figure out a way to do it. It's the Magneto at the end of X-Men 1 ending. He could probably get out of that. But, he was there floating Loden's lightsaber around the whole time, just being the complete dick. And I was like, yes, this is the villain I've been waiting for. Someone who is just chaos and carnage incarnate. And then you have Bell, who his master was killed by Marchion via the Nameless. And then it was like, yes, this is the hero that's rising up to beat him. It's not Elzar that's going to. I thought the whole time that the final battle was going to be Elzar versus Marchion.
I kind of thought it might be too. I thought it was going to be Avar versus Marchion.
Okay.
We kind of set up Avar as like the Superman, Superwoman of like the Jedi. It was like that was the one who had to do it. Live up to her hero name like that.
Yeah, but it was Bell. It was the Spider-Man.
Yeah, which is great. I love that as well. I do. I will say that.
Mm,
Um, and I will. I do want to talk about Avar and Elder's ending as well. But I want to say
yeah, we
I
will.
don't disagree. Like I said, we're not as far off on this as you might have thought, because I agree with everything you said for the most part. I just didn't love how, like, when he was sidelined, it just felt more like that he was sidelined, and I was kind of boring. He was just kind of boring at that
Mm,
point. Like, I just saw him sitting in his throne going, and like, it just felt like, why are you even here? I almost wish he disappeared entirely. Like,
yeah.
have him disappear entirely and have even the reader going, what? Have us go, what is he doing? He's got to be there.
Okay.
So I actually would prefer that, because then it's like, oh, so no one knows what he's doing. Like, every once in a while, I see Gear saying, well, his ship keeps popping up in these places. I don't need any POV from him at all. I don't want him talking to anybody at this point. And
Yeah.
then he comes back and does, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. Like, it just felt like a big nothing. You build him up in the beginning, and he's like the focal point, and then you take him away, but you're not taking him away. We're still seeing some of this stuff going on. And that stuff that we see just felt like a big nothing burger. Like, what am I getting out of this? That he doesn't
Yeah.
want to do anything. Okay. I'd prefer to get that snap judgment. Also, in Trials of Jedi, he shows up. He's like, yeah, fuck you all. I'm going to just take out all of you because that's what I want to do.
Mm,
That is great. That would have been great. But
yeah.
so, yeah, we're not too far off this. We're not on we're closer than we thought we might be.
I tell you who else was a really good, I guess, villain character was Aslan Rel.
Loved Aslan. I loved his development and everything else. And I
Yeah.
will say, I'm doing the reread. Like I said, I'm rereading Phase 2 right now and everything else. I also say Phase 2 is actually better this time around after like I kind of said, after the finish of the climax of the story. Now I get to go
Mm,
back and read it on its own. And I can see some of the stuff going on. But Aslan's one of the stories in there, and I love Aslan Rel. I can't wait, because that's going to be one of the things, more stories for sure, which we'll talk about at the end. But before we leave, we'll talk about our future projects. But Aslan is a great, great, great villainous character, because he's more of that, could he be redeemed? Could he not be redeemed?
mm.
We don't really know. There, it's kind of left open where he definitely is still a villain, but like there's still that kind of like there's something going on there, an interesting story going on, basically.
He's the parallel to Quinlan Voss in Dark
Yes.
Disciple, because he
Mhm.
ultimately fell to the dark side for the good of the council, but then the council rejected him after he did it. And it
Mhm.
wasn't until Yoda said, no, I've been working with him for a while now that, I trust him. He's all good. Whether that plays into Yoda's naivete, but it also shows that the cracks are starting to form in how the Jedi Council end up becoming. And you've only got to look at the aesthetic of it. Everyone has their own different robes, their own styles. And one thing that I love is how the High Republic shows the Force in different interpretations. Like, some people it's a song, some people it's a river, some
Yep.
people it's through their skills as a mechanic.
Hey, I love that. That
Mm,
makes me happy. That
mm.
absolutely makes me happy. Good stuff there. Let's see. I love the comic. I like the High Republic comic books. So Keeve Trennis and her skier and her storyline. That was kind of cool as well. I
Yeah.
did like that. But let's talk about Avar and Elzar, though. Actually, what do we
Yeah,
think
so
about is Avar and Elzar's ending there, and
I
how?
love I love it. It's so Shakespearean that it's
Yeah,
like they are they are quite obviously in love,
right,
but they are destined to forever be apart.
right.
It's so Shakespearean tragedy that I'm like, yes.
I
That
read some
that
articles. I read some reviews, and people talk about like they didn't like that part because it felt like such a sad ending. And I'm like, it's not a sad ending. It's a they're doing their duty, and they're like they know what they have to do. And I will say, like in general, Ava Dells being the high thing is like it was. I don't know if it surprised me as much, but there's a lot of love going on in the High Republic between Jedi. Like the Jedi aren't supposed to be love and everything else. They kind of do it, treat more loosey goosey, and it's something I didn't expect.
mm.
What did you think about that aspect of it?
I I liked it because it shows that, you know, love and emotion in general isn't black and white.
Right,
You know, you have people like Elzar who can touch the darkness but not let it consume him.
right,
And you have people like Avar that can, they are solely engulfed by the light to the point where she is now off keeping the light side in check, which I thought was a very cool little interpretation of the brother and the sister and the father.
Absolutely.
Like they are now on both sides, keeping each side in check, and they are two halves of a whole that can never be put together.
I'm interested to see if there's ever any like. I'm not saying I want it, but I could see them like in a couple like revisiting them like years later. Somehow they are years later and they have to like somebody visit them or something. I don't know, something like that. But I
Yeah.
will say the love stuff for me. I did problem is a strong word. I didn't have a problem with it, but it was kind of like a. It's kind of like reading going. This is a lot. I'm not quite used to it. And then I kind of put in my mind. I wonder if like this is more how it used to be. By the time we got to the prequel era, like some of that stuff is like, well, this is why we don't do it anymore because stuff like people kept leaving the order, people kept like getting involved, and it kind of like screwed up some things. Maybe that's why we decided to not. Maybe they locked down that shit by the time we got to Anakin the prequel era. I started thinking about that. I'm kind of like, okay, all right, I'm open to like this, seeing how that goes for sure.
And we know that events happen between, this era and the, the Republic era. So maybe they do go meet every now and again. Maybe they do go knock boots every now and again, and suddenly, they're like, crap, things got out of hand. Like, we better go back to doing what we do.
Right. Absolutely. Never know what's going to happen there. I will also throw out there, we do have those kind of like postscript books, like the Wayseeker and the Crystal Crown. Did you even get a chance to read those or no?
I haven't yet, no.
Okay. I will say it's basically a tie. It's really a good tie between the High Republic and the Acolyte, especially Wayseeker. Wayseeker has it's Vernestra obviously being connected to it. I won't say anything more about. There's another character in there which I was surprised at, but happy to see. And that was solid. I would say the Crystal Crown one with my Tessa. It's fine. It's not that great. I'll be honest. I didn't love it. It was just kind of like, okay. Crystal, Jecki and Yord were definitely the best characters in there, and seeing like a little more into their background was nice, but it's definitely more Acolyte leaning than the Wayseeker one was. Just want to throw that out there. I know we got to finish in the next 10 minutes or so. So let's talk about what were your favorite stories that were told throughout.
Mine was definitely my top one. Was definitely the Rising Storm, because that was the first one that like I thought, oh, Light of the Jedi, here we go, seeing the Jedi in their prime, like this is cool, and then it all goes wrong, and it's just that sense of dread, like when Loden, who is this great and powerful Jedi, just gets turned to stone, and just that was the first time that I was like, and it was the second book, I was like, wow, you're going in this early.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, I think that was probably my number one. Like if I had to like immediately go back to one, that's probably the one that I'm going to.
Gotcha. That's fair. I thought it definitely began great. Land of the Jedi, I did like that one quite a bit. I think The Fallen Star is probably still my favorite of the books. I love it. I'm a sucker for a good disaster story anyway. Having them all in there.
It was like Star Wars meets 24.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will also say Trials of the Jedi. I will throw that out there as one of my favorites. It did bring it all home in a good way, I think, overall in a good, solid way, with all some of my favorite characters throughout. I did love seeing the Blade's final stories with Vice and everything else. But yeah, how about your? Give me a quick off the top of their head, your top 5 characters introduced in the
oh man,
initiative. Doesn't have to be like ranked, but like your favorite 5 that you want to see more of.
Porter Engle, Geode. You know who I really love? That was kind of a stupid character. Churro the Hutt. we got Hutt named Churro.
I will say I liked him a lot more than I thought I was going to when he was first introduced. I will give you that.
Yeah, like it shows that like Hutts can be good.
Yeah, it was nice to see. It was definitely a different tactic there.
Him and Geode are like my 2 like crazy off the wall picks. Aslan, I really liked Aslan Rel a lot, and obviously number 1, Markion. Markion is my guy. He was such a great villain. Even like towards the end, like he had this whole master plan. He had plan A through Z all planned out and then he just decided to go, fuck it, let's just throw it down.
Love it. I already threw out there Ty York and Leox. I'll just throw those up there. There's definitely some of my favorites for sure. I really did enjoy Elzar throughout. I thought he was an interesting way. He kind of kept like touching the dark side, but kind of kept coming back and like trying to find that middle ground through Avar. That was a great moment for her. I definitely liked Avar as well. I really liked Burry. I thought Burry was kind of fun.
Oh yeah, of course, Burry. Yeah.
Burryaga had some great moments. Him and Bell's camaraderie and friendship was really awesome to see.
Ember the Chillhound as well. Throwing actually, I'll take out Churro and put in Ember.
Ember's always great. Ember's always fascinating. I really liked. I'll throw out a Phase 2 character, Axel. I like the Greylarks. Axel Greylark was great in Phase 2. His was it Tristan was the new one or the guy?
Yeah. Can I make a quick real world comparison to
Sure.
Axel Greylock? Axel Greylock is the Hunter Biden of Star Wars.
That's a good call. That's a good call. I like that. I like that aspect of it for sure. Yeah, I pretty much liked everybody. Nan had some good moments, for sure. I like Geode was great, of course. Yeah. All right, let's in the last like 5 minutes we have, let's talk about the future now that the High Republic is done. But what would you want to see in a Phase More situation? What would you want to see come out of that?
I have said this from the start, and I will continue to bang this drum. Geode, rock, opera.
How about something that's likely possible to happen?
It could happen. Star Wars is all about, they want to like create new stories, right?
Right.
There's your story. I want to find out what he's like when he's, out partying. What he's like when he's helping Leox save the day.
I got it.
The fact that Elzar gets on the ship and just thinks he's a rock because he can sense him in the Force. It's like, no, he's actually like this sentient life form.
He was definitely an interesting character. I'll absolutely say that for sure.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Obviously, we need to know what happens with Vanestra.
Mm-hmm.
I get her reasons for not turning against the Order, but the path that she ends up going down, that we see her go down in the Acolyte, because she got done dirty a few times. So,
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. What about you?
Okay, a couple things I want to throw out there. First of all, I would love a High Republic animated series, like something in there. I don't know necessarily what story we would tell officially, but give me something that Eric. I'd love to see something that's come to life. Some of the stuff we could tell. I definitely want to see Reith and Aslan's. That was definitely left open for a reason. I think we're going to get more of that story. Obviously, we're going after Aslan at that point to figure out what's going on. I would love to see, like I said, give me the adventures of the crew of the vessel. Leox and company, like have that ship go around doing stuff. Obviously, you have scoundrels type situation there. You can meet up with anybody. You can go with pirates. You can go with a good side of things. You can straddle that line. That'd be a fun story to tell. I personally would love to see more minis in the vein of like the Ty York Monster Hunter kind of thing. Let her go back to being a Monster Hunter kind of thing. Love that aspect of it.
Especially because the game Monster Hunter is so popular. I think doing a show like that or a book or whatever like that would be pretty cool.
Well, she's just one of my characters. I think the reason why I like her so much is she's one of these characters that she is kind of reminding me a little bit of Zane Carrick from back in the Knights of the Old Republic comic days. Like she's just like she's not a Jedi. She still has a lightsaber and she's kind of doing her own thing as always. Like she's not answering to the council or anything like that, but she's kind of like still can use the Force, still be like Jedi-esque in a way without being a Jedi. And it just kind of fascinates me to see where she would go from there. So I would love to see something like that potentially. And yeah, those are kind of the main ideas I would like to see developed further. And where else do I want to go? I'd like to see more connectivity between the Acolyte and the High Republic. I know the Acolyte is kind of like a dirty word and Lucasfilm probably right now in terms of like not wanting to touch it at this point, but maybe we can have some more connectivity that way.
They keep carting Manny out to these conventions, so I'd like to think that they're at least talking to him about doing something, because if he's doing all this work still to promote that show,
right,
at least give him something.
I think there's no way we can't. We don't. I think there's no way we never see Manny Jacinto again because even people who hate the Acolyte were like, yeah, but he was pretty good.
Mm.
He was pretty good.
Yeah.
And he's very interesting. He's an interesting character. So I would love to see that. See, and that's the one thing I will say real quick that I was disappointed about Wayseeker. I really was hoping that we'd get more of Vernestra and the Stranger, like their backstory, what happened there a little bit. I know after reading, I'm kind of like, yeah, they're probably saving that for something like as far as like more something because that's what happened. The problem with the books has always been in the Disney era is that everything that's a really cool story, you almost have to save for the big screen or small screen in a way. So it kind of gets shaded that way, unfortunately. But yes or no, would you like to see another swing at a big, ambitious taking like this set in a different era or something different, or whatever? What do you think of?
Yeah, just make it a bit shorter.
Yeah, a little bit
Yeah,
more concise.
I'm all for these multimedia initiatives. My thing is like a lot of the multimedia that they've done is either books, comics, and books and comics really. We got a few audio dramas. Let's see some more visual stuff, guys. Let's see some, it's multimedia. Let's get a game set in the High Republic.
Yeah.
I know they were supposed to do Eclipse, but the studio head, the game director of that game is not a good person, so I'm guessing that game got canned. But yeah, reach out to more different forms of media as well as just books and comics and a couple of audio dramas. Let's see some like pull people who maybe don't read a lot. Pull in the more casual, the football fans, as I like to call them, the people that just go there to watch the movies. Let's start catering a bit to them as well.
I will say I agree with you entirely on that. And personally, I know mine's not going to happen. I know it's not because it's a very everything that's against what Disney wants to do with Star Wars right now, or Lucasfilm wants to do Star Wars. I say even go for myself, dig even deeper. I'm such a homework guy. I love the homework stuff. So I would love to see an epic where we have a book, comic, young adult book, a series, an animated show, a movie, like everything. Like, it's all in like one era. That's like all like tied together somehow. I think it could happen. If it happened, it'd be great. I would love it to be immersed like that into a saga, game, everything, whole thing. I know it's against like now it's like the Lord got to move away because hell, like people couldn't handle Disney Plus shows having to watch them or homework for Marvel kind of thing. Anyway, so it's like they got to do more of the casual stuff, and I get it, but just telling you what I would love to say. But all right, Matty, where can the folks find you? We'll let you finish this out.
You can find me on all social media at Matty Morner. You can find my band Morner on all streaming platforms. This weekend, you can find me at MGSCon. That's Memes, Genes, and Snakes Convention. Not associated with Metal Gear Solid or Konami in any way. Completely fan-run convention. I have to put that out legally. So I will be there at that in Ontario, California. If you see me, come say hello. You will find me here every other week now that we're back on, I want to say, schedule. And we hope. I believe we're doing Michael Clayton in a couple of weeks. Don't hold me to that. Again, schedules might change, but and you can also find me on the comment sections of PLD's episodes of Holy Sons.
If everything goes right, next time in 2 weeks will be news. 2 weeks after that, with Michael Clayton, if everything goes right. You can find me at Paul News on Twitter or at Paul News and at BSky at social. All of this channel, Two Middle-Aged Geeks on Film. PJ and I doing the Ghostbusters / Men in Black crossover season. Also doing on the Patreon, like I mentioned earlier, the MCU rewatch. We are up. We finished phase 1, we're into phase 2, and we're recording Avengers Age of Ultron next week, and that should be out then on the Patreon. They'll be out on the main channel eventually at some point, but I want to let that sit exclusively for a while first. Also, Review and Lego and I are getting back together soon, probably not this Sunday. I have to message her the next Sunday, so hopefully we'll get back into that as well. And class action, I don't know when it's going to come back at this point. I kind of need to let life settle down a little bit. Probably I'll try to take a couple of months off from class action. We can reconvene and figure it out then.
Yeah, we need to come up with one that's like a banger, because we had the idea to do Superman versus Fantastic Four, but it was just like that's just picking the two blockbusters up against each other. There's no real fun to be had there, like we had with the MI.
And honestly, the discourse made it less fun too. So honestly, so forget it. I don't want to bother with it. That's it, right? All right. Yeah. So that's it. We will see you next time here on Holy Snokes. Again, it'll be news, and then for Michael Clayton, that's Matty. I'm PLD, and as
may the force be with you always.